Super Bowl, the last game, the last fixture of the calendar in the NFL. And it's a game that you have a team that is going for historic three-peat. You have a team who, for the second time in 4 years, is back in the big game. And they're against the team that beat them last time. There's quite a few differences, though, really, from that game to this. There's quite a few interesting stats. I'll give you my prediction at the end of the video. We've got loads of stats to get through, and let's jump in and talk. And I've got three things that both teams need to do to have success in this game. And I'm going to start with the Philadelphia Eagles, okay? Number one is they've got to run the ball. They have to keep Mahomes on the sideline. Shorten the game, win time of possession, make sure that Saquon's going off, Hurts is doing his business, Kenneth Gainwell's doing his thing. They have to win the line of scrimmage when it comes to the offensive line. Jordan Mailata, Lane Johnson. They need to be able to get into the second level. They need to get to the linebackers, need to get to obviously the safeties and corners. And AJ Brown's a fantastic wide receiver for blocking out there. Dallas Goedert as well, obviously, They need to go crazy. And I don't think Barkley's going to run for 250 yards because I think the Chiefs are going to have to sell out and stop the run and say, look, Hurts has to beat us with his arm. But if they let Saquon have this much space, he's going to take this much afterwards. It's going to be ridiculous. Number two, they have to keep Mahomes in the pocket. Him ad-libbing, extending plays, the chemistry that he has with a Kelsey, where Kelsey just seems to find space. They need to keep him in the pocket. Don't let him extend plays. Because if you let him roll out, he's going to absolutely torch you. We've seen it against the Bills. We've seen it so many times this season even, but against the Bills especially. The amount of times that they would collapse the pocket too quickly, he would just sneak out to the side, and he'd even run for 15, 16 yards. You've got to keep him in there, Davis, Bourne on the second level even, thinking about it, Sweat, Carter. They got to collapse the pocket. But number three was get to Mahomes with rushing four. The thing is of Kelsey, Kelsey doesn't really run any particular route or route, as the Americans would call it. The play might say for him to run an out, and all of a sudden he just stops dead and just stays there because that's where the space is. He will find a space if you give him some. But if you can rush four and you can drop back, you can double to people. Is Hopkins going to go off? What is the other wide receivers going to... Is Juju going to give you something? Watson, Gray, what are they going to all give you? But if you can just get to him with four, quite frequently, obviously there'll be time that you're going to have to blitz, you're going to have to send it. But if you can get to him with four, that's going to be crucial. On the Chiefs side of things, the three things that I think they need to do. Number one is protect Mahomes. It's simple as that. The offensive line this year has struggled. Interior-wise, they've been really solid. Obviously, Joe Thuney. I know Joe Thuney really damn well. I'm a Patriots fan. We drafted him. I'm annoyed that we let him go. But he's been brilliant. Now, they've obviously helped him when he's been at left tackle by not having too many drop-back passes, chips, things like that. But also, that means the interior of their line has gotten a bit weaker. And the strength of this Philadelphia Eagles defensive line is the interior. They don't let you run on them. They don't let you really get anything through the center. They push outsides. And that's when Nick Bourne comes in and, Cooper DeJean, all those guys who create turnovers religiously. That's what they do. So you've got to protect Mahomes. The second thing is obviously sell out for the run. They just have to sell out for the run because not only is it Barkley, it's Jalen Hurts. And Barkley might rip off a 65-yard touchdown and he's averaging 31 yards for a touchdown? Or something stupid. I can't really remember exactly off the top of my head. But Hurts will kill you as well. We've seen it in the playoffs. He ran for a 40-yard touchdown against the Rams. So, the tush push is obviously something. You got to try and keep him out of a 2-yard gap because if it's 3rd and 2, it's a tush push. Because if they don't get it in that one, they'll go again on 4th and 1, and they're gonna get it. You can't stop it twice in a row. But Hurts will kill you if you let him kill you. So they've got to start up for the run, make Hurts beat you, throwing it to AJ and Smith. And number 3 is create extra plays. This Eagles team has been brilliant at turning the ball over defensively. They get extra possessions for the offense. They have to, in my case, the Chiefs have to sell out for the run and then turn over with a fumble, a pick, whatever, create extra possessions for your own team, because this Eagles team is an explosive offense. Yes, Barkley can rip off a big run, Hurts, but they can go deep. They can go long to AJ. Dallas Goedert has been really good in this playoff run, actually. So creating extra plays is going to be crucial. I mean, looking at some of these stats, the Chiefs are a good run defense. This season, they were ranked 9th in the league in defense, averaging 106.7 yards a game. Ironically, 8th was the Philadelphia Eagles, giving up 2 less yards of run defense a game. But in the last 3, the Chiefs have given up 151 yards a game. They gave up 147 last time out. So that's something that they need to be wary of, because James Cook and Josh Allen are a great tandem when it comes to running the ball. They aren't these guys. And this offensive line is much better than the Bills' offensive line. So if they do not completely sell out for the run, the Eagles are going to torch them when it comes to that side of things, okay? They are brutal. But defensively this season, the Eagles are the second best defense in the league, giving up just under 18 points a game. The Chiefs are 4th. They're giving up just over 19 points a game. So, again, with these things, there's not a lot between them. And when you look at all these stats, there just isn't a lot between them. There is one glaring obvious difference between the two. That is the rushing attack. But defensively, there's not a ton between them. Now, the Eagles, I think, probably create more turnover for their team in particular, especially in the playoffs. So you can't let the Eagles give you that, When we look at the teams against wide receivers this season, the Eagles actually have given up an extra 150 yards over the Chiefs. Okay, so that is something to hold on to. The Chiefs have been, obviously, Trent McDuffie, fantastic corner. He will obviously probably be tracking and following AJ Brown, which obviously means Smith and Goddard and Dotson are going to have opportunities. Okay, especially Goddard, because the Chiefs are a bad team defensively against tight ends. They've given up the 3rd most yards this season alone, okay? They've given up 8 touchdowns. Only 3 teams gave up more, which was the Steelers, the 49ers, and the Lions. So, you've got a team here that does give up a lot of yards to the tight ends area. So you've got to... Dallas Goedert, I think, if he's going to have a big game, I don't see the Chiefs winning. And you'll see what I mean in a second, okay? So they've got to try and knuckle that down and get that down to a reasonable level, because if they keep giving up what they've given up to other teams, they're in trouble, okay? They're in trouble. The other thing against the run as well, everyone knows the Cowboys suck against the run, okay? The Eagles were the 2nd most rushing yards this season, okay? Obviously, the Ravens had the most by 150. Obviously, that's because of Lamar as well as King Henry. But Eagles were 2nd in this list. The Chiefs were 5th, bottom. They had 1,790 yards. The Eagles had 3,048. So they need to try and get some run game today, the Chiefs. They need to get something just to pin those guys back on the defensive line so they don't just go teeing off of Mahomes. They need to get something from Pacheco. It could even be Mahomes on a designed quarterback run. They need to get something. Because if they don't, these guys will pin their ears back and they will absolutely tee off on Mahomes. So that's the key thing here. But yeah, defensively wise, there isn't a ton between them. Rushing the ball, huge differences. And I think that's the key thing in this game. The winning of this game will come down to who can win the running battle. The Chiefs are going to be able to sell out and stop Barkley, and they're not going to stop Barkley, and they're not going to stop Hurts, but if they can limit them, the odd drive or two where they get them into 3rd and 8, 3rd and 6 even, you go, even if they go, look, if we get 4 yards, we're going for it on 4 and 2, and I would expect the Eagles to go for it quite frequently on 4th down. just because of the offensive line that they have, the running attack that they have. I expect them to go on 4th and 1, 4th and 2, they'll go for it. But if the Chiefs can keep them in 3rd and long, then I expect really, the Chiefs to send a crazy blitz. Spags is going to send something ridiculous. They're not going to pick it up. And can you then force that turnover, which was I was predicting? Now, in terms of who I think is going to win this game, I've probably changed my mind on the victor of this game 5 or 6 different times. It's going to be Chiefs. Eagles, Chiefs. Eagles, Chiefs, Eagles. And I'm an Aaron. Is Mahomes going to go crazy? Is Hurts going to play like he did against Commanders? Or is Hurts going to play... He's had a few He's had a few games in the playoffs where he's not been great, but they've gotten through. But if he plays like he did against the Commanders, that's a different story. Who I think is going to win? I actually am going to go for the Philadelphia Eagles. I think it's going to be a low-scoring game. I don't see it being a 34-31. I actually think it'll be a 23-20. And I think it's going to come down to the Eagles and their defense winning the game in the end. I think the Eagles set off early and they're going to get a lead and they're going to keep pounding the rock. And then it'll be down to the defense just to keep limiting to Mahomes to a field goal here and there. And I think something at halftime, something like 14-10. So the game is completely in the balance. Everyone gets to go enjoy Kendrick Lamar at halftime. But I think something like that. Now, look, I could be completely wrong. And it's going to be 21-21 at the half, or it's going to be 21-0 Chiefs at the half. But I just kind of feel like it's going to be a tight game. I think the spread is like +1 to the Eagles. I'd probably take that because I think they're going to win, but I would take the little bonus on that. But I think Eagles win 23-20. I think Saquon is the MVP as well. I think he runs for about 130, couple of touchdowns, 30 yards receiving, and he has a big game. Let me know your thoughts on the game down below, and I'll speak to you all then. Peace.